Hello, my name is Lewis and welcome to Gathering the Magic. Today we're looking at the top 10 best Selesnya commanders in MTG. Starting off the list from Commander Legends, we have Lathal, the Bounteous Dawn. This 2/2 unicorn with lifelink says at the beginning of each end step, if you gain life this turn, distribute up to that many +1/+1 counters among any number of other target creatures. So this deck is of course having that lifelink theme. We want creatures that will constantly gain us life anytime any creature hits the field, and plenty of quickfire instants to gain us life. We want to be gaining life each turn to really maximise Lathal's triggers and get it popping off on every end step. This is easy to do as life gain is one of the strongest strategies in MTG, with life gain being available in dozens of enchantments, running strong through several planeswalkers, and even having those lands that are life loving. We're going to go ahead and give out the always prestigious Gathering the Magic Card of the Deck award, and here it unsurprisingly has to go to the Ozolith. You'll be creating so many +1/+1 counters through these cards that you'll need to find those ways to store those counters and redistribute them if Lathal bites the dust. Plus, if those creatures do die, then you can give those counters with the Ozolith to Lathal and beef it up, as you cannot normally get Lathal to give itself counters. Lathal is a really cool option for Commander and makes me want to believe that unicorns are real. Oh, come on! Before we get on to number 9, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe for all things MTG. It's free to do, it helps out the channel as we climb towards 2,000 subscribers. Next on the list we're looking at Marja, Bretagard Protector. From Kaldheim, Marja is a 2/3 human warrior that gives your other creatures you control +1/+1, and when a land ETBs under your control, you create a 1/1 white human warrior creature token. To start with, you want to pack a Marja deck with all of those many ways to ramp. The more land you get on the field, the wider your board state becomes. Another staple in those Marja decks is to add all those landfall loving cards. You're going to be playing so many lands in a deck like this, so you might as well have all those cards that will trigger and get you even more creatures, beef up your creatures, and many other options. From the original Ravnica set or one of the pre-con commander sets, Hour of Reckoning is an auto include in this deck. Get that massive token army and it's literally a one-sided board wipe. And lastly, with all those creature tokens you're getting on the board, add in all of those cards that'll beef up those tokens, give them vigilance and really make your big human warrior army a threat to deal with on that board. Marja is a great fun choice for Commander that if you don't deal with quick, you'll be overwhelmed and beaten into oblivion. For the next best Selesnya commander we have Tollsmere, Friends to Wolves. Tollsmere is a 3/3 elf scout that says when it ETBs, create Voja, a legendary 3/3 green and white wolf. And when a wolf ETBs under your control, you gain 3 life and it bites up to one creature you don't control. So this deck is all about that wolf tribal. We're going to be packing in all of those many powerful wolves and plenty of wolf token creatures that'll all ETB and hopefully put a dent in your opposition's army. We're also going to throw in all those pro wolf loving cards to strengthen them so that when they do hit the battlefield, they're going to do even more damage. Fortunately, especially in green, there are plenty of not only wolf boosting cards, but just cards that will beef up any of your green boys. Cards like Howler of the Night Pack and Kessig Cagebreakers are so key in this deck. Creating a wolf army for each land you have and for each creature in your graveyard could potentially bring you to such a big wolf army that it could serve as a board wipe or just knock out one of your opponents. Again, this is easily a deck that you can see getting out of hand in no time, and I'm sure with the soon to be released Innistrad Midnight Hunt, there will be plenty of new additions to Tollsmere decks in no time. Next up, also from Commander Legends, we have Hamza, Guardian of Arashin. Hamza is a 5/5 elephant warrior that says it costs 1 less to cast for each creature you control with a +1/+1 counter on it, and creature spells you cast cost 1 less to cast for each creature you control with a +1/+1 counter on it. This is a commander that you just want to go +1/+1 crazy with. Pack your deck with all the cards that will make your creatures enter with those +1/+1 counters already on, cards that will give out those counters on other ETB triggers, and many more. The synergy is really strong in a Hamza deck because the more +1/+1 counters out there, the cheaper your other creatures are becoming, and then the cheaper Hamza will cost to cast later in the game with all those counters out on the field. I won't go in detail too much with Hamza as it is a full-on $40 budget deck tech video that myself and Meme Master Steve did on the channel a few months ago. So I'll pop the link for that in the description below, and if you haven't, I absolutely recommend watching that. After you finish this video, of course.
Just do it!
Just missing out on the top half, we have Siona, Captain of Phileas. Siona is a 2/2 human soldier that when ETBs, you look at the top 7 cards of your library. You may reveal an aura card from among them and put it into your hand, and then put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. And whenever an aura becomes attached to a creature you control, you create a 1/1 white human soldier creature token. With Siona, we're heading straight down Aura Avenue. MTG is stacked with aura cards, and there are so many that are a perfect fit for a Siona deck. There are auras that give you vigilance, auras that untap all of your lands when you attack, and even auras that will give that creature indestructible. Siona really gives your deck the ability to pop off, with many cards allowing you to draw cards whenever you cast an aura or enchantment, so make sure to add in all those no max hand size living cards, because this isn't a deck where you're going to be wanting to send cards to the graveyard. Finally getting all those cards that will cheapen the cost of those auras, and you'll be spending next to no mana before you know it. That deadly spinner card you'll have lying around will be a saviour too. What's better than an aura spell? Playing an aura spell you know can't be countered. Siona is a hell of a card, and one that again will go big and wide before you know it. Sticking with the enchantment loving commanders, we've got Sithis, Harvest's Hand. Recently released in Modern Horizons 2, this already very popular commander says whenever you cast an enchantment spell, you gain 1 life and draw a card. So similar to Siona, we're going to Enchantment Utopia with Sithis. Pack in every single sort of enchantment you can find. Again, maybe plenty to draw you some cards, maybe you want a few in there to create you more and more creatures, or maybe you just want to throw in some of those lovely enchantment creatures that were aplenty in Theros Beyond Death. Speaking of Theros Beyond Death, having those creatures with that constellation mechanic is a great way to go. The landfall equivalent for enchantments will have you getting additional triggers every time an enchantment comes into play. If you're looking for the most stereotypical Route 1 win, then make sure you've got all those lifelink loving options to combo off with Sithis so you can get above that 50 life, get out that always nasty Aetherflux Reservoir and ping your opponents in the face for 50 and get the win and go home happy. Sithis, you are a dangerous commander and I love it. Just missing out on the bronze medal spot, we have Tristani, Selesnya's Voice. Tristani is a 2/5 Dryad that says whenever another creature ETBs under your control, you gain life equal to that creature's toughness, and you can pay 1 in Selesnya to populate. First off, we want to focus on that populate. We need those tokens, so fill the deck with all of those token loving creatures, with the bigger the tokens the better, as that populate is going to create a copy of that token. This card works so well in the 99 of my Atla Palani deck, especially with cards like Idol of Oblivion. You bet many times I've got out that 10/10 Eldrazi and populated the living daylights out of it. For Tristani, you absolutely have to pack the deck full of those populate loving cards. The more you can populate, the more creature tokens you can copy and the bigger your army gets, and the sooner you can swing in for the win. It sounds so simple, doesn't it? And finally, if you've got the budget, get in all of those big boy expensive cards that will just cause chaos. Create twice as many tokens and just send your opponents running away in fear at how crazy Tristani can get. For the third best Selesnya commander, we have Reese the Redeemed. Reese is a 1/1 elf warrior that you can tap 2 and a white or green to tap and create a 1/1 green and white elf warrior creature token, or pay 4 and twice white or green to tap and create a token that's a copy of each creature token you control. Similar to the last few, this is all about creating and getting out as many tokens as possible so that we can literally pay 6 mana to just double our army, copy each and every token we've got on the field. However, if you are looking to spice it up a bit, mix a bit of elf tribal in there. Throw in all of those staple elf cards, ones that'll beef up all the elves, plenty that'll create elf tokens, which will also synergise well with that second Reese ability. You've also got those huge elf boosters like Azuri and Elvish Warhammer that will boost those elves as well as giving them Death Touch and Trample. Similar to Tristani, we also want plenty of populate cards so we can increase that massive army, so when we do use that second Reese trigger, our side of the board is just going to be beyond scary. Reese is a brilliant commander and one that has slowly over time gotten cheaper with reprints in Double Masters and Mystery Booster. Runner up on the Selesnya list, we have Aribo, Roar of the World. From Commander 17, this 5/5 cat avatar says at the beginning of combat on your turn, if Aribo is in the command zone or on the battlefield, another cat you control gets +3/+3, and whenever another cat you control attacks, you can pay 1 in Selesnya. If you do, it gets +X/+X until end of turn, where X is its power. For this deck, of course, we are going cat tribal. There are so many cats within MTG, including those that boost other cats in your deck, cats that can destroy opponents' artifacts or enchantments, and even cats that create even more cats. Keeper of Fables and Prowling Serpapod are so essential in this deck. Keeper of Fables is an already popular commander card due to the card draw it can provide for you, and Prowling Serpapod is just perfect as it then makes all your future cat spells uncounterable. With the art, it also looks like a card suited to a courier rather than a monkette. There are also plenty of cat-loving instants, cat enchantments and much more that will get you this endless stream of angry kittens. As is the theme with Selesnya, this is another deck that will go wide really quick and you'll be scratching your opponents to death in no time at all. That sounded a bit bleak, didn't it? For the best Selesnya commander we have Karamitra, God of Harvests. Wouldn't you know it, it's a god card. This 6/7 enchantment god has Indestructible that says whenever you cast a creature spell, you may search for a forest or plains card, put it on the battlefield tapped and then shuffle your library. To start with, we want plenty of those 1-drop mana dorks for when we get Karamitra out. Play a 1-drop, get a land, rinse and repeat. Also, for the early game, of course, you want all of those rampy staples, so you get Karamitra out as early as possible, and then you can really go on a big ramp tear with the previously mentioned 1-drop rampy creatures. With so many lands hitting the field, of course you want to revisit that landfall mechanic. Gain so much more value with all the lands and those ETB triggers, with cards like Lotus Cobra being essential. The mana value in that card is just crazy. Having a few cards like White Mane Lion is never a bad shout too. Bounce one of your cheap creatures back to trigger Karamitra again, and before you know it, you'll have all your lands out and you'll be stomping on all of your opponent's faces with all of those massive creatures you can so easily afford to cast. With plenty of green and white god cards to help you along the way, by cheapening future creatures or even creating big flies to swoop in for the win, Karamitra is a disgustingly good card, and it's easy to see why this is the most popular Selesnya commander. There we have it, that is the list. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe for all things MTG. Check out our link tree in the description below for all of our social media and affiliate links. For now though, I'm all tapped out, so I'll see you in the next video.